This is just my opinion, but in my experience, I found that the learning curves on German and French bow are a little bit different. With German bow, it might be a little bit easier to start because the fulcrum is created by the bow cradle, and it's a little more straightforward to produce a sound, but the higher frog and the more resilient or live feeling in the stick can be a more challenging thing to control at an advanced level, whereas French bow starts off more challenging and I think becomes more straightforward as time goes on. Again, that's just my personal experience. And one of the other complications that I think is important to note, especially if you're studying with a French bow teacher or if you're coming from French bow, this is a kind of a different thing that's unique to German bow. So if we find the balance point and hold the bow at the balance point, and I would encourage you to do this with me in both holds so you really see what you're feeling here. And if we're understanding that the direction of weight is always going to be just with gravity, how that goes, we're not kind of pushing it over into the point of contact. We're using the bow as a lever to transfer weight to the string. And so if I'm holding the bow over the string and I'm on a low string, I'm going to drop weight into that, and that's going to cause the bow to pivot in this direction. So you see the tip is moving away. As I move through the strings, A string, D string, G string, nothing changes. French bow is very consistent across all four strings. The challenge with German bow is if we do that same thing, if I'm kind of focused on my thumb on the low string, that's going to drop weight in that same direction. You see the tip wants to go up. A string, it's still pretty good. Now as I go to the D string, you see that starts to get blocked. And then when I go to the G string, it's going to want to go in that direction, and that results in a very crushed and compressed sound on the upper strings. So what we want to experience is that on the low string, that energy is going to come from the thumb. And when we're on the high string, that energy is going to come from the first finger. So now you see I get that same pivot feeling that I had overhand is happening underhand when I'm on the G string. On the G and the D string, I use very little thumb contact, if any. A certain amount of thumb contact, and E, definitely thumb contact. So just noticing how that feels as you go through the four strings to see how your weight's being transferred into the point of contact. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. The full details of the course are listed below.